Good morning, students. How are you? I hope that you are doing well. Today, let us discuss about the autonomic nervous system. Peripheral nervous system is divided into two divisions. One is somatic nervous system. Another one is autonomic nervous system. So, peripheral nervous system is divided into two divisions. The first division is somatic nervous system. And the next one is autonomic nervous system. The first one is somatic nervous system. It includes both sensory and motor neurons. That means the sensory neurons conduct the messages, or they will transfer the sensory impulses from different somatic organs to central nervous system. So, it carry or conduct the sensory impulses to central nervous system. That is the main function of the somatic nervous system. That means it carry the messages from somatic organs to central nervous system. Then coming to the motor neuron, which is present in the somatic nervous system. It innervates the all skeletal muscles of the body parts, so that it controls all the voluntary movements of the body parts. The axon of motor neuron, it extends from central nervous system to skeletal muscle. That means directly it extends from central nervous system all the way to skeletal muscle. That means there are no intermediate neurons. The next, somatic nervous system effect, the function of somatic nervous system is always excitation. Then coming to autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. The word autonomic, it is derived from a word autonomous. Autonomous means it is independent. That means there are several physiological functions in our body which we do not control consciously. Those functions are controlled by the autonomic nervous system unconsciously. For example, the heart rate of respiration, the contraction of the muscles, smooth muscles, the relaxation of the smooth muscles, the caliber of the blood vessels. All these activities or actions are under the control of autonomic nervous systems. Autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system. Okay. Autonomic nervous system operates without conscious control. That means it always performs its functions unconsciously. That means all the sensory impulses received by the autonomic system or unconscious. All sensory impulses are always unconsciously perceived by the autonomic nervous system. Here, the main difference between the somatic nervous system and the autonomic nervous system is the axon fibers in the somatic nervous system directly they extend from central nervous system to skeletal muscle. But here, when coming to autonomic nervous system, the autonomic neurons are always they are associated with interreceptors. They are always associated with interreceptors. That is one of the important point we have to discuss here. Then, coming to the innervation. In the autonomic nervous system, the autonomic neurons, motor neurons, they innervate the muscles of the heart. That means they innervate the cardiac muscles, smooth muscles. They innervate the glands, salivary glands and digestive glands, etc. This autonomic nervous system is divided into two types: sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. It is divided into two types. The first one is sympathetic and the next one is parasympathetic. Parasympathetic. Coming to sympathetic nervous system, it includes, that means it is known as thoracolumbar division. Thoracolumbar division, or it is also called as thoracolumbar outflow. The outflow means outflow of information refers to motor signals. The motor signals are also known as the efferent impulses. They are also known as efferent impulses. That means this outflow refers to the flow of motor signals or efferent impulses to the effector organs from the autonomic nervous system. So, mainly it is called as thoracolumbar division. Why means it includes the axon fibers which are extended from the thoracic region and lumbar region of the spinal cord. That's why it is known as thoracolumbar division, or it is known as thoracolumbar outflow. Okay, then how it functions, sympathetic nervous system, how it will works. This sympathetic nervous system it arises from the thoracic and lumbar regions of the spinal cord. So, thoracic region, how many vertebrae are present? There are 12. That means in the thoracic region, 12 pairs of spinal nerves arise from the thoracic region. So, here T1, Similarly, up to T12. Up to T12. That means in the spinal cord, in the thoracic region, the spinal cord includes 12 thoracic neurons. 12 thoracic neurons are present in this spinal cord region. Similarly, in the lumbar region also, it contains 5 pairs of spinal nerve. First, the first nerve, small nerve, arises from T1, a small nerve that arises from this thoracic region is known as preganglionic nerve fiber. It is known as preganglionic nerve fiber. Nerve fiber. This small nerve, after extending from the thoracic region, it forms a synapse with the another ganglion that is known as postganglionic nerve fiber. That is known as postganglionic neuron. So, once again, I will repeat. In the thoracic lumbar division, the preganglionic nerve fiber arises. It arises from the first thoracic vertebra. It is known as a small preganglionic nerve fiber. It forms a synapse. Synapse means it is the gap that occurs between the preganglionic nerve and the postganglionic nerve. So from this region, this postganglionic neuron, postganglionic nerve fiber arises. Postganglionic nerve fiber arises and it enters into the effector organ. For example, eye or salivary glands or into the lacrimal glands according to its function. So first of all, this sympathetic nervous system, it consists of preganglionic nerve fibers, postganglionic nerve fibers, and also it consists of a pair of chained ganglia which are formed in the trunk region, like this. A chain of ganglia are formed here. So, like that, here also the preganglionic nerve fiber enters, it terminates or ends in a special ganglion which forms into a chain-like structure. That means all the ganglia in the thoracic region or in the trunk region are linked together to form a chain-like structure so that a pair of chains are present on both sides of the vertebral column. So once again I will repeat. Sympathetic nervous system, it is formed or it is formed of a pair of chain ganglia and also it is formed with preganglionic nerve fibers and also it is formed with postganglionic nerve fibers. All these are included under the sympathetic nervous system. Though, how they will work means, for example, not only this chain of ganglia, in the thoracic lumbar division, 3 types of collateral ganglia also present. 3 types of collateral ganglia also present. They are known as ciliate and anterior mesentery and also posterior mesentery. ganglions. These are known as collateral ganglions. You remember that. First, what I told here, the big ganglionic nerve fibers in the sympathetic trunk region, it forms a synapse with the chain ganglia. It forms the synapse with the chain ganglia. That is one type. Or sometimes these big ganglionic nerve fibers that arises from the thoracic region, from the remaining part of the thoracic region, they enter into the collateral ganglia and it forms the synapse with the collateral ganglia. From the collateral ganglia, postganglionic fibers arise and they end or terminate in an effector organs. So, this is briefly about the sympathetic nervous system. Then, if we see the preganglionic nerve fibers, that means this chain of ganglia which is formed in the sympathetic trunk region, it is nearer to the spinal cord. Hence, the preganglionic nerve fibers are shorter than the postganglionic nerve fibers. They are shorter than the postganglionic nerve fibers. That is important thing we have to remember here. Similarly, when coming to collateral ganglia also, they directly depict ganglionic nerve fibers. They form a synapse with the collateral ganglia. From the collateral ganglia, postganglionic nerve fibers enters into the effector organ, whether it is lung or urogenital system, or it is heart, or it is digestive system, or salivary glands, and so on. Then coming to the distribution of these ganglions, the first, the ganglions which are present above the diaphragm region, the thoracic ganglion which are present above the diaphragm region, they are supplied to the anterior parts which are present above the diaphragm region. Similarly, these collateral ganglia which are present below the diaphragm region, they are supplied to the below parts of the diaphragm. Okay? Then, this is about the sympathetic nervous system. Though here, the last point, once again I will repeat that the postganglionic fibers that arise from the sympathetic trunk are supplied to the anterior parts of the body. Then the postganglionic nerve fibers that are coming from the collateral ganglia are supplied to the posterior parts of the body. Then coming to parasympathetic nervous system. Before that, I will show the sympathetic diagram of sympathetic nervous system so that you can clearly understand. See, first, these are the spinal cord in the thoracic region and the lumbar region. It contains the preganglionic neurons. It contains the preganglionic neurons. From these preganglionic neurons, preganglionic nerve fibers arise in the trunk region and they form into a chain of ganglia. From this chain of ganglia, that means this preganglionic nerve fiber, forms a synapse chain ganglia. It forms a synapse here with this postganglionic neuron. From this postganglionic neuron, the postganglionic nerve fibers arranges. These are the chain ganglia. These are the preganglionic neurons which are present in the spinal cord. From these preganglionic neurons, preganglionic nerve fiber arise and it enters into the chain ganglia, and there it forms a synapse with the postganglionic neuron. From this neuron, a postganglionic nerve fibers arise which end in effector organs like eye, lacrimal glands, salivary glands, lungs, digestive system, and to the liver, etc. Here you see the green color, two ganglionic chains. These two ganglionic chains are extended from the base of the skull to the pelvic region. They are extended from the skull to the pelvic region. You see here the collateral ganglia are represented in green color. They are represented in green color. These collateral ganglia are supplied their postganglionic nerve fibers to the organs like digestive system, liver, and to the urinary bladder, to the kidneys, and to the genital systems, and so on. Then coming to parasympathetic nervous system. It is known as craniosacral outflow or craniosacral division. Parasympathetic nervous system is known as craniosacral outflow. Already I explained you the outflow of information refers to the motor signals which are supplied to the effector organs, or craniosacral division. That means it includes the nerves that arises from the brain. Some of the nerves arises from the brain and some of the nerves arises from the sacral region of the spinal cord. So that's why it is known as craniosacral division or craniosacral outflow. Then coming to the cranial flow. This cranial flow, that means coming to the components of the cranial flow, it includes the cranial nerves, third cranial nerve, seventh cranial nerve, ninth cranial nerve, and 10th. That means the name of these cranial nerves are, third one is oculomotor, and seventh one is facial, and ninth one is hypoglossal, and the 10th one is very important, that is vagus nerve. So cranial flow includes the components of that arises from these four nerves, third, seventh, ninth, and 10th cranial nerve. It forms into ganglions. That means ciliary ganglion, and similarly and pterygopalatine ganglion and submandibular ganglion. That means these ciliary ganglion pterygopalatine ganglion and submandibular ganglion, aortic ganglion, they receive the preganglionic nerve fibers from the 3rd, 7th, 9th and 10th cranial nerves. I will show to the diagram. That means in a similar way, the spinal cord, some of the nerves that arises from the brain, from the brain. The first third nerve, it arises from the third cranial nerve, it arises from the optic lobes, that is known as oculomotor nerve. So here the ciliary ganglion, it receives the preganglionic nerve fibers from the 3rd cranial nerve and it forms a synapse with the ciliary ganglion. The ganglion means nothing but it is having a mass of cell bodies. That means cell bodies are concentrated to form a ganglion-like structure. So the preganglionic nerve fiber, that arises from the 3rd cranial nerve, it enters into the ciliary ganglion and there it forms a synapse. And from that region, this ciliary ganglion gives a postganglionic nerve fiber. It innervates the eyeball region. And similarly, the next nerve, 7th one, that is facial nerve. It arises from the pons varolii. Already we have discussed about that nerve in the previous class. So this is known as facial nerve. It arises from the brain region, pons varolii. It also gives rise to preganglionic nerve fiber and it enters into the ganglion pterygopalatine. And from this pterygopalatine, this is supplied, the postganglionic nerve fibers are supplied to the which part? To the lacrimal glands of the eye region. Similarly, from this 7th one, another ganglion is also arises, that is supplied to the salivary glands. In the same way, the 9th cranial nerve, that is known as hypoglossal nerve. From this hypoglossal nerve, the preganglionic fibers arise and they enter into submandibular ganglion. This is submandibular ganglion. From this submandibular ganglion, postganglionic nerve fibers arise and the ends are terminate into the salivary glands, again into the lower jaw or into the pharynx region, like that. It innervates so many parts, belongs to that region. Then the last nerve fiber, cranial nerve, that is 10th nerve, it is vagus nerve. It also arises from the brain region. While arising from the brain, it travels through the thorax and abdominal region and it forms so many terminal ganglia in the middle, in the abdominal cavity as well as in the thoracic cavity. It terminates, that means the preganglionic nerve fiber that arise from this vagus nerve, it travels through the thorax and abdominal cavity, and it gives rise so many terminal ganglia which are present in the thoracic and abdominal cavity. So from this ganglion, the postganglionic nerve fibers arise which are supplied to the lungs, Similarly, heart, to the heart region, and similarly to the digestive region, to the digestive tract, that is to the liver also. There it is supplied to the liver. And also to the last part, that is kidneys. To the kidneys, to the digestive system, to the liver, to the heart, to the lungs. That means postganglionic fibers, they innervate all these organs so that it can control the involuntary actions of all these organs. Then coming to another component of this parasympathetic nervous system is sacral flow. This sacral flow contains, it is formed by the second, third and fourth cranial nerves, fourth sacral nerves, second, third and fourth sacral nerves are included in this sacral flow, and they are also supplied to the kidneys, to the urinogenital systems. From this, they are supplied to this region. This is briefly about the parasympathetic nervous system. In this parasympathetic nervous system, we have to remember one thing. The ganglion which are formed here are isolated. They are not linked like that of chain ganglia which are present in the sympathetic nervous system. They remain isolated. That is one of the important thing. Another thing is, the preganglionic nerve fibers are very shorter in sympathetic nervous system. Why? Means that is very close to the spinal cord. But here, these ganglions are very close to the organs. Hence, the postganglionic nerve fibers are shorter than the preganglionic nerve fiber. Preganglionic nerve fibers are longer in this system than the postganglionic nerve fibers. This is another important thing that we have to consider. Then, once again, briefly, I will explain by showing the color diagram so that you can easily understand. Here, see the parasympathetic nervous system. The nerves are arise from the brain as well as they also arise from the sacral region of the spinal cord. There are the first, third nerve, it forms into ciliary ganglia here, which is supplied to the eyeball region. Similarly, from the seventh nerve, seventh cranial nerve, the preganglionic nerve fibers that arise from the seventh cranial nerve, it enters into the submaxillary ganglion and it stimulates the flow of saliva. From the ninth cranial nerve, the aortic ganglion, here you see the aortic ganglion is formed and it also supplies to the salivary glands to stimulate the secretion of the saliva. Then this is the 10th nerve, vagus nerve, it extends through the thoracic and abdominal cavity and it forms into so many post-terminal ganglia here in the thoracic and abdominal cavity, and it supplies the postganglionic nerve fibers to the lungs, to the heart here, the heart, to the heart region, to the lungs region, and as well as to the digestive tract and also to the liver and to the kidneys and also to the genital apparatus. So, is it clear? Then, coming to the differences. What are the differences between the somatic nervous system and autonomous nervous system? Already it is over. Then, coming to the differences between the sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic nervous system is also known as emergency system. It is known as emergency system or stressed system. That means this sympathetic nervous system is stimulated during the stressed conditions. That means whenever the emergency arises, suppose if we fear, what will happen? The heartbeat is increased. So that respiration rate is increased. And also it inhibits the secretion of the digestive glands. And also it inhibits the frequent urination. And it also increases the BP so that constricting the blood vessels. So all these, with the help of all these activities, all these actions, it controls the situation. That means that emergency, whenever the emergency arises, that situation is controlled by the sympathetic nervous system unconsciously. That is more important here. So, hence it is known as stressed. Under stressed, it acts under stressed condition. So, it is known as stressed system or emergency system. Whenever the emergency arises, it will fight with that situation and control the situation and regulate the situation. Hence it is known as emergency system. So it is also known as fight and flight system. That means it will fight with that situation to bring to the normal position. Hence it is known as emergency system. Then coming to the parasympathetic nervous system, during the relaxed conditions it is stimulated. That means this system is known as rest and digestive system. Rest and digestive system. That means if we are at rest, we eat a lot. So that's why it is known as rest and digestive system. That is the major difference. Then the postganglionic fibers, coming to the postganglionic fibers, the preganglionic fiber in the sympathetic nervous system, at its end, it releases a neurotransmitter that is known as acetylcholine. Listen carefully. In the sympathetic nervous system, the preganglionic nerve fibers arise from the spinal cord. So, these preganglionic nerve fibers, they form a synapse with this postganglionic nerve fiber. Here, this preganglionic nerve fiber, at this region, it releases a chemical substance that makes known as neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine, acetylcholine. Similarly, the postganglionic nerve fiber, it also releases a chemical substance that is known as norepinephrine. parasympathetic system is called adrenergic. It is also known as adrenergic system. It is known as adrenergic system. Similarly, in the parasympathetic nervous system, the first preganglionic nerve fiber release a chemical substance that is acetylcholine. As in the case of sympathetic nervous system, in the parasympathetic nervous system also acetylcholine is released by the preganglionic neurons. But where is the difference means, in the postganglionic nerve fibers in the sympathetic system they release norepinephrine. But whereas in the case of parasympathetic nervous system, the postganglionic neurons they release the another substance that is acetylcholine only. Hence they are known as cholinergic. They are known as cholinergic. They are known as cholinergic. Then the remaining things are same. This sympathetic nervous system increases the activities of the body, whereas parasympathetic nervous system decreases the speed or activities of the body. That means when the sympathetic nervous system increases the heartbeat means the parasympathetic nervous system decreases the heartbeat. Similarly, it inhibits the urination means it increases the frequent urination. It inhibits the digestion. It increases the digestive activity. So that parasympathetic nervous system work under opposite circumstances to that of sympathetic nervous system. Then coming to the last and foremost thing. The overall effect of the sympathetic system is excitation. The overall effect of parasympathetic nervous system is inhibition. That means it is inhibitory in its reaction. These are the things. So, at last, what we can understand means sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system both will work counter to each other. Both will work counter to each other. That's the thing. So with this we have completed the lesson sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. So what type of questions you are going to come in your examination means the differences between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, and what is the meaning of thoracolumbar region, what is the meaning of craniosacral outflow, distinguish between the somatic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. This type of questions may be given in your public examination. So, thank you children.